Welcome to our LPPD Principles and Practices video series. In this video, we'll learn how LPPD practices enabled Caterpillar and GE appliances to synchronize work across disciplines and significantly improve their development performance.
Most organizations realize that to achieve even a reasonable time to market, they have to work concurrently across contributing disciplines. But to do this well, that is, to do this without creating a ton of rework, you have to understand the work to be done. That means the tasks, the sequence of tasks, key inputs and outputs, and decision points that allow the work to move forward effectively. If you organize the work in such a way as to maximize the utility of incomplete but stable information, you can create flow across multiple disciplines and dramatically reduce your lead time to market. LPPD Principles and Practices can help you to both build synchronized work into your process and help you manage that work across multiple disciplines real time. In our first example, Pete Cooper from Caterpillar shares how, with millions of dollars on the line, they dramatically reduced their lead time by using value stream mapping to redesign the process and create much better cross-functional flow.
When I joined and took this role, we were right in the middle of a sequence of off-highway emissions regulation updates, going from Tier 3 to Tier 4 interim to Tier 4 final. And the challenge that we had was the cadence of those emissions dates and how close they were together. Our key challenge was, how do we both meet the required emissions timing, which is mandated by the government, while bringing in customer value, and doing that all within the context of our affordability. And if you don't meet the requirements, you're unable to sell the product into those markets. Recognizing that with limited resources, with limited budget, we had to find a way to get more efficient. For us, synchronizing workflows is really understanding the handoffs between different workflows. It's the opposite of the over-the-wall mentality. It's really understanding the key needs and how activities fit together such that we can progress quickly and more efficiently through the process versus over the wall and recycle and over the wall and recycle. It really is looking to eliminate waste in that process. One of the big benefits of value stream mapping is the understanding that you gain of other people's processes. And instead of just understanding a deliverable that your team has to give to another team, you understand why that deliverable needs to be there, and then can better understand how you can meet that need. We can work more collaboratively to give you more of the information when you need it versus waiting all the way to the end. One of the most important things when you're approaching a value stream mapping session is to start by defining the goals of the session. So we would start with a scoping session. We would define what key teams needed to be involved and what key milestones that we were going to base the value stream map on. We would have each team come in and lay out their process using Post-it notes on the value stream map, and then have each team talk about their process and what they needed and when they needed it. And we would use that information to understand what the synchronization points were between teams, and then also, probably more importantly, to understand when we had key decisions to make within the project. Over time, as we continue to demonstrate value through processes like value stream mapping, through processes like OBEA, through the decision process, that's when other organizations would see the success that we had, and we got more and more requests for folks to come and benchmark what we were doing. And as other people saw value, that really drove organically the deployment of the tools within the organization.
In our next video, Alison Seward of GE Appliance shares how she and her team used LPPD tools and methods to manage work across disciplines real time on a critical new product launch.
The team that I'm able to lead is a very large group. It's about 50 or so program members, and they encompass nearly every function that we have here. We have design engineers, manufacturing engineers that are leading equipment, quality engineers, as well as all of the commercial sides of the business. So we have representatives from sales, our commercial director, our product managers, sourcing, really every function that you can think of, we have that represented on the program team. I think when you design everything in isolation, you solve one set of questions and problems, and then you bump it forward to the next step where you solve more problems and answer more questions. But sometimes you would have to recycle and go backwards and then go forwards again and then go forward again. And you're really missing a lot of the key voices at each step. So doing it all in parallel may seem like it takes longer, but it actually is saving time in the long run because you're getting all of those voices, all those inputs, all those ideas up front and not delaying that response or that feedback. So the majority of projects and programs that I've seen split their team into their functional areas. You'll have design engineering, purchasing, manufacturing, all in separate groups. And we knew that that approach was not going to set us up for success in designing the product and process together. So we're actually structured into what we call fishbone teams. And each fishbone represents an area of the assembly process. So for example, our door team is actually made up of the cross-functional members that are addressing the door. So I have a design engineer, a manufacturing engineer, quality engineer, hourly team leaders that came on board for our program about 18 months ahead of production launch. So they were able to bring their experience and their voice from being on the factory floor to the fishbone teams so that they could make updates, have influence, and really drive the decisions that were being made so they can work together to provide the best outcome for that fishbone that then supports the higher program goals. I would definitely say that having common goals for the teams are important. So we have program level goals, but we also have fishbone goals. Each group has a target for their material costs, their labor costs, all of their key metrics so that they know what success looks like. If they don't know what success looks like, they really don't know how to make trade-offs and make the best decisions. Our team loves our decision diamonds. It really has enabled us to make sure that we're making timely decisions, but most importantly, that we're aware of what those decisions are and that we're not letting them stack up. Our daily meeting on Fridays is focused exclusively on decision diamonds. So we talk through it as a full cross-functional team. What were the decisions for the past week? What decisions may be overdue or late? And how does that impact one of the other areas? So we are able to have that dialogue of if Fishbone Team A is 2 weeks behind, it gives Team B a chance to speak up and say, my decision is now going to be delayed if you're not able to make your decision. So it gets it in front of the entire team so that 50 plus people are in that session and everybody has the freedom to speak up and talk about what those delays or even some of the decisions, what impact that may have on other groups. Obeya for us is very important. We always state that we don't put anything on the wall unless it's useful for the team. So the Obeya doesn't exist for anybody except our team. Other people may come in and look at it or reference it, but nothing goes on the wall unless we find it helpful for us to achieve what we need to achieve or to communicate better. So we have different sections of the Obeya that cover schedule, that cover critical decisions. We have a section that covers our plan, do, check, act process, which we use for problem solving, and also a section that covers our manufacturing layout. And all of that information is up there, easy to see. We actually also color code everything by our fishbone teams. I think it's very important to have the factory layout on the wall. We also have the factory right behind us, but it's easy to stand around the diagram and have a discussion. And it really helps drive the right dialogue about what work is being done where and how the product is going to flow through the process. So we think it's very important to physically mock up things as early as you possibly can. Everything looks great on the computer, in a CAD program, in somebody's head until you actually start doing it. I would say from our mock assembly line process, we had all of our team work on the line. So the design engineers were out there, some of our sales team was out there, even our industrial design group who works on the aesthetic of the product, they were helping to build. So they really had a better understanding. Definitely designing the value stream is going to give you all of the inputs that you need to make a product that you need to hit all of your deliverables. Doing these functional silos, you're just kicking things from one group to the other, maybe resolving issues, maybe not. You may just be passing on an issue to the next group. If you're actually looking at that full value stream, you don't have the opportunity to just skip something or just shove it along to the next group because there's nobody else to shove it to. It's your team that's working on that whole process. I would say if you're moving from a process that has been a more siloed approach, be prepared for the first few months to be emotionally taxing. You are retraining people and you are retraining a culture oftentimes. And the majority of your time is going to be spent on coaching and mentoring your team on this new approach. And then you'll see that people will start to jump on board and they'll become a part of it and they'll see the value and they'll see the intention. And then they become advocates and they help bring more people along. But up front is probably the hardest work.
These two approaches are not mutually exclusive. You need to both design your process and actively manage cross-functional work during programs to create flow, reduce rework, and improve speed to market. I hope these stories inspired you to want to improve your development capability. Thanks to our learning partner organizations for sharing their experiences, and thanks to you for watching.
For more information about LEI products and services, or joining our learning group of companies, go to leanpd.org or contact us at info@lean.org. The LEI team is committed to improving the way new value is created